This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and LifeLock has tips to protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report phishing, and update the software on your devices. And for comprehensive identity protection, let LifeLock alert you to suspicious uses of your personal information. LifeLock also fixes identity theft, guaranteed or your money back. Stay smart, safe, and protected with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
Hello and welcome to the Paddock and the Pavilion with me, your host, Stephen Wallis. On the 21st of November, the much anticipated 2025-26 Men's Ashes Series will begin at the Optus Stadium in Perth, before the contest moves on to Brisbane, Adelaide, Melbourne and Sydney. Another classic battle between England and Australia awaits. In this special series of 5 episodes, I've been asking my guests for their thoughts on what we might see over the 5 tests, including former players, journalists, commentators, authors, a painter, a musician, a racehorse trainer, and more. I hope you enjoyed part 1 of Who Will Win the Men's Ashes. I have a wide variety of guests for you in part 2, starting with German international all-rounder Tina Gough, who told her story in episode 259 and has just headed off on the first MCC tour of Brazil. Our next guest is German international Tina Gough, who has just been playing in the T20 2026 World Cup qualifiers for her country. Welcome to the show, Tina.
Thank you very much for having me.
Tell us more about the World Cup qualifiers with Germany.
It was certainly an interesting couple of weeks playing against teams who we knew we were going into it as underdogs, especially against Ireland and the Netherlands, who are very strong teams, and of course Italy, who are getting stronger every year and unfortunately weren't able to get a win. But there was a lot of experience and learnings from it, especially playing on turf, which a lot of the girls hadn't done before. And of course against Ireland, who are a top 10 side, and they certainly showed throughout the tournament why they are at the top of the rankings.
Sadly, Tina, you picked up an injury after the first 2 games against Ireland and Italy.
Yeah, unfortunately, just tweaked my knee in that second game and wasn't able to carry on. But it did give a lot of the other girls an opportunity. And we had Aishani, a youngster, who made her debut as well. So a lot of positives to take from the tour, and I'm sure a lot of things to learn as well.
You said playing on grass. Had a lot of the German players not played on grass before?
Not at all. So we had a training weekend a few weekends before in the Netherlands. And for a lot of the girls, that's the first time they'd ever played on grass. Obviously, across Europe, it's mostly AstroTurf, or all AstroTurf apart from in the Netherlands. And it's certainly a different beast, especially in terms of batting. Can't quite rely on the bounce of the ball. And yeah, so that was something different for them to contend with, difficult as well, I'm sure. But every time they went out there, you could see the improvement and the confidence growing for the batters. And if we do get a chance to play on grass again in future, I'm sure they'll go in with a lot more confidence.
A big step up for Germany, though, playing in the Group 1 qualifiers.
Absolutely. We obviously play a lot of our games in Europe against teams that are similarly ranked to us. And then suddenly playing, especially against the Netherlands and Ireland, obviously we're quite familiar with Italy as an opposition, was a step up. I think certainly in terms of the batting and how hard they hit the ball and hitting the ball into places that maybe batters on AstroTurf don't. So it was a big step up, but a big learning as well. And looking forward to seeing how Ireland and the Netherlands progress into the Division 1 and, of course, into the global qualifier as well.
But on a positive note, serious progress being made by German women's cricket.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to see a few youngsters coming through, and that's kind of where the development in Europe has to go. You can't rely on kind of expats or players from England or Australia, just boosting the ranks. You've got to have locals coming through, and it's great to see a few more making their debut for Germany, and hopefully a sign of things to come.
The dream then still alive one day that Germany can reach a World Cup.
That is the dream. Maybe it would require some kind of expanded World Cup. It seems like at the moment the World Cup is getting smaller rather than bigger. So maybe we need to have a word in the ICC's ear.
That's sad though. You want a World Cup where there are more teams involved.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you see that's the way the World Cup in football is going with, I think it's 64 teams next year, and giving those teams an opportunity at an international level. And it'd be great if something similar happened in cricket. I know it's difficult logistically, the length of cricket matches as well, and having to have breaks in between. But maybe expanding it to 16, 24 would be the way to go. But maybe that's wishful thinking on my part.
Well, let's hope so. Let's talk about the men's Ashes. What are your thoughts now in mid-September ahead of the first Test match on the 21st November?
I'm looking forward to it. I think England will certainly go in as underdogs. I think that's pretty much always the case when we go down under. But the tail end of the summer, and especially that Indian series, showed that England can be a force to be reckoned with, and looking forward to that first test match in Perth, and hopefully an England win. Again, that might be optimism rather than my head speaking, but certainly looking forward to that first test.
What do you think then during the series are the key battles?
I think that top three for Australia is quite fallible. So you've got Khawaja in there, you've got Sam Constas, who's kind of still young and finding his way, and you've got, well, recently they played Cam Green out of position at that number 3 spot. So I think if England can get early wickets and get into that middle Australian order, they've got a chance. The annoying thing is the middle order for Australia has the likes of Steve Smith and Travis Head and Alex Carey, who always seem to make runs against England. So I think early wickets would be the battle for England, and that would of course rely on the seamers, and big question mark I suppose about which seamers will go as well.
Interesting development recently though, with the possible injury to the Australian skipper Pat Cummins.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's kind of the English media stirring the pot a bit. I know the Australian media have been a little more circumspect about it, but certainly that would be a huge miss for Australia. I think it's just, from an English perspective, it's frustrating to see that Australia have so many quick bowlers come off the production line, and even if Pat Cummins isn't there, Mitchell Stark's there, Josh Hazlewood as well, and that's not even mentioning Nathan Lyon, who always seems to get wickets against England. So even if Cummins was out, I don't think that in any way makes it an easier task for England.
And the first 3 tests are quite a bit apart, so it is possible to manage bowling attacks.
I think that's especially important for England, isn't it? When you've got the likes of Jofra Archer, Mark Wood, those two haven't exactly got the best track record when it comes to injuries. So a longer break in between the games certainly helped those.
Now, you've experienced the Women's Ashes last winter. Less said about that, but what awaits the players and spectators in Australia?
Well, sun, hopefully. I mean, I know that the best part of going down under in winter is the escaping the English winter and getting into the Australian summer. Hostility, usually. I mean, when I was there as a fan, it was nothing but friendly, especially I think the Women's Ashes is an even more friendly vibe than the Men's Ashes. But the hostility the players face, the cauldron, especially in the likes of the MCG and the SCG. But I think the one thing that the England team does have is grit, especially when you've got Ben Stokes as captain. So I think they'd actually quite like that sense of battle. If you've got Jofra Archer and Mark Wood both bowling 90 plus miles an hour, then I think we're in for kind of a feisty battle. And I think that's what we all like to see with the Ashes.
How much will the Ashes be followed in Germany? Will it just be expats?
Yes. I suppose the disadvantage for this series or this tour as well is that the time difference is not friendly to anyone in the Northern Hemisphere. So I think it will be just expats following. Maybe it gets a line or two in the newspapers if something spectacular happens. The good news though, because it's in Germany, you don't have the geo blocking that you might have in England where you need a subscription to watch it. So it it might be a case that you can watch it through the ICC TV website, which would be useful for me.
So how much will you be following then? Will it be through the ICC feed or?
I think so. It depends where I am in December as well. I might be back in the UK, so I can watch it from here. I'm not the best for staying up late or getting up early, so maybe have to kind of change my sleep schedule a bit to try and keep up with as much as I can. Otherwise, I'm sure I'll be watching the extended highlights.
Finally, then, an Ashes prediction. Can England win those Ashes back?
My heart says yes, my head says no. I think my head would say probably 3-1 Australia, and I'd maybe reverse that for my heart. So I'd go 3-1 England on the heart prediction and 3-1 Australia on the head.
That's covering all bases again as a commentator, isn't it?
Exactly. That's what I'm paid for.
Well, thank you very much for really two predictions, really. An England win and an England defeat. You're covering everything, really.
There you go. I can't be wrong unless it's a draw.
Well, Ben Stokes doesn't do draws, as I always say on the podcast here.
Well, I think the one prediction is it's going to be exciting one way or another, I'm sure.
Next up is the turn of Murray Harrison, the Australian over-70s international who featured regularly in our shows about the inaugural over-70s World Cup in 2024. Murray, the Ashes in England in 2023, they said it was a moral victory for England. What do you think will happen in 2025, 26?
Yes, we're all very bemused by the moral victory in England. I think Mr. Bairstow might have had something to say about that, but no, we. I think we're always confident going into an Ashes series, but we're also very confident, very aware that England has a pretty good side at the moment. I don't know how Joe Root keeps doing it, but he does. The batting is strong. I think it'll be interesting to see how the new bowlers go in Australia. That's Australian conditions are quite different. Anderson and Broad not being there will be a different challenge, and I'm just a keen spectator like everybody else, but I think the fact that Scott Boland can't make our Australian team is just a testament to the standard of the bowling. Scott Boland's record is unbelievable. He would be first picked in any other Test team, and he can't make it past Stark, Cummins, and Hazlewood. We have that luxury of being fairly confident of being able to get 20 wickets in a Test match. The only real issue I think for Australia is that our batting is got to be said as a little bit questionable at the minute.
You think then that England will be more competitive this time?
I would hope. I just spent quite a bit of time watching the England-India series, which was magnificent, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 3-2 result. I won't say a 2-all result, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 3-2 result, hopefully to Australia this summer.
We've just heard that Glenn McGrath's gone for 5-0 again.
Oh, of course. He's a fast bowler, mate. It's been, as you know, I mean, the history of the Ashes is littered with the worst team ever being selected and coming over and winning 5-0. I mean, it's you can't predict it, but I just think you've got two very good sides who are going to face off this year, and I think it'll be very even.
Yes, we couldn't bat, bowl or field in 1986-87, and England won the Ashes.
Yeah. No, we've had teams go over that were reported to be the worst ever, and come back with the end. So who knows? I as I say, I think I'm intrigued by when the games were really quite serious against India. English batsman, Bazball went out the window and they actually batted properly. I think that's going to happen as well. If you're not serious about Test cricket, then you're going to lose.
And you're going to the Melbourne Test.
Yes, I've actually been on Boxing Day at a Melbourne Test for for about the last 30 or 40 years. It's a tradition in our household.
You're lucky. I went to a Melbourne Test in 1998, and
Mm.
that was the day when they didn't bowl a ball on that particular day. And the next day it was bright and sunny.
That was in. You were only there the first day.
Now I went the whole. That was. I have to remind you, that was a Test match that England actually won in Melbourne.
98.
Dean Headley got 6 wickets on the last day.
Oh yes, 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 yes. No, I remember I also went to they had the World Cup final between England and Pakistan at the MCG in '92, which was it was a great day. Inzamam ul Haq won the game for Pakistan.
Yeah, we'll try and forget about that. So you're going for Australia 3-2 in the Ashes.
I am, but I don't have any doubt that it's going to be a very good series, very competitive series.
You're in for a treat now. Our next guest is Simon Finch, who will be right at the heart of the action for all 5 Test matches. Finchy will be blowing his trumpet at Perth, Brisbane, Adelaide, Melbourne and Sydney. And for those of you following the Ashes on television, I'm sure you'll see plenty of him encouraging the England team. Welcome back, Simon.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Great to be here as usual.
I bet you can't wait to go now.
No, I can't wait. It's well, where are we at now? It's 2 months. 2 months. I think I leave on the 16th or 17th of November. So yeah, just under 2 months to go. It's really come around very quickly. I remember thinking a year ago, thinking, oh, there's going to be ages to go until I depart. Within the blink of an eye, here we are. Yeah, it's going to be epic. I think particularly days 1 and days 2. Days 1 and 2 at Perth are going to be just something special because there's so many England supporters going to be there. I think they're expecting I think it's something like 20,000 for the first couple of tests at least. That's travelling over, plus the local expats as well. So I think if we have a fair wind behind us, then it'll feel like a home test abroad.
Because last time it was only expats, wasn't it, the Ashes?
Yeah, expat trumpeters as well.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, we had a couple of local guys. Well, there was two English trumpet players who'd moved over there, and then 3 local guys. But yeah, it was great. Yeah, it worked out pretty well actually.
And are you going for all 5?
I certainly am. I don't return home to UK until the 10th of January.
Now, before we talk about the Ashes, you had quite a big event quite recently. You got married.
Certainly did. Finally stuck a ring on it. At the tender age of 52, finally married.
And it
Yeah, it's
really
great.
happened. It has really happened this time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it did happen. Yeah, it was quite funny. It was uh, so I had a stag do a few weeks before, early August, and I was in the ground. It was at Old Trafford, I think it was, and yeah, it was Old Trafford. That's right. And then my phone started exploding in my pocket. What's going on here? What's going on here? Because it's like my friend said, Daniel Norcross and Michael Vaughan are talking about your stag do on Test Match Special. Actually, oh no, it wasn't. It was the Oval. It was when no, it wasn't. It was which was the match when Chris Wokes hurt himself. That was the
Oval.
that was the Oval. Yeah, so it was
Yeah,
at
the
the
last
Oval.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Oval because it was when he went down, and then there was a bit of a lull in proceedings, and then I started talking about my stag do because Daniel came along. You see, he was invited. Um, him living very close to the scene of the crime. So yeah, I thought I'd invite him along, and lovely man that he is, very affable and very sociable. Just he's a social animal, is our Daniel, And he came along, and of course, a lot of my friends were there who were cricket fans. They were like, "What? Daniel Norcross? You're a stag do? Wow!" And he was just chatting to everybody. He was lovely. He was brilliant. He had a good time. He stayed right till the end. I think he must have drunk the bar completely dry of all its white wine, and then he sort of tottered home round the corner.
They always tease him on the radio that he always talks about Surrey, don't they?
Yes, he does like Surrey. What he lives in? He lives in Balham, which is literally a hop, skip, and a jump from the Oval itself.
And Wedding Day wasn't like a scene out of Love Actually, the film you were in.
No, but there was actually love in the room. Boom, boom. No, it was lovely. It was amazing. It was perfect. I couldn't imagine anything more perfect. We did it all ourselves in terms of organising it all. We kind of bit off more than we chewed because we really wanted just a big party for our close friends and family. Brittany being is of Indian heritage, has got a big family. Um, Her mother is one of six, I think, or one of five. Can't remember. Anyway, lots of cousins, lots of aunties, cousins, grandchildren, etc., etc. So it ended up being about 200 people in the end, which in the Amersham Rugby Club created quite a squeeze. But the way we worked it was that we didn't do it a traditional way so much as you have a sit down meal, because that obviously impinges upon the amount of space that you have because everyone's got to sit down at the same time. So we did it in festival style. So we had food trucks outside. We had because it was an Anglo-Indian wedding, so we had an English food, which was pie mash or roast dinner wraps. So roast dinner wraps in a Yorkshire pudding wrap, or pie and mash, and then Indian snacks, and then we had Mexican stand for burritos because we love Mexican food, and a nice cream van, and everyone just helped themselves backs and forwards. Yeah, stuffed themselves silly, and then we had three bands, of which I played in all of them. Even on my wedding night, I'm working, and then we had four DJs, and it was the actual festival experience was topped off beautifully by the fact it peed down with rain all day, so just like an English festival. Yeah, brilliant. Oh, it was amazing. It was just all our we had such amazing support from our friends and family who got involved and transformed a kind of dour neutral rugby club, social club, bar area into the most wonderful, colourful, um, yeah, space. It was just fantastic.
The rugby club bar must have been a good one that day.
Oh, they did very well behind the bar. Yeah, they did very well. They were very generous, actually. They gave us obviously corkage, and it was corkage on the wine and stuff like that, but it's very reasonably priced. Um, yeah, it's brilliant. They did very well. They helped us out well because we had quite a few demands. Well, I say demands. It sounds like we're being all divish. We're not being divish. Certain things we wanted to do, like have a late bar, have live bands, organise. Just kind of, we did it differently from most weddings. Dressed the room in a particular way, and they just were so accommodating and let us kind of basically do whatever we want. As long as we didn't break anything, they let us use the kitchen, all the facilities in there. We could make, they let us use all the urns to make tea and coffee. They were so supportive. The staff were great. They got involved. Um, yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah, I highly recommend if you're going to have a party, have it at Amersham and Chiltern Rugby Club. It's fantastic.
Well, it's a good advert there for the
Yeah,
rugby club. Yeah.
yeah.
We get that. We must tag them in the when I release the
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah. Hugh and Molly were fantastic. Hugh's the chairman of the club. Molly runs the bar, and they were just wonderful.
Let's move on then to the Ashes. Are you confident? The
Oh
men's
yeah,
Ashes, I must say.
yeah. Oh, super confident. Yeah, it's gonna be amazing. This is yeah. It's, what can I say? We've got the fight. We've certainly got the batting firepower without even thinking about it. We've got the batting firepower. The only thing that's up for grabs is whether our bowling throng can stay fit. Um, I think we've got, if obviously if Jofra and Woody are fit, that would be quite something. Cast is something special. I think he's going to be a handful. The length he bowls on those pitches. Gus and Aussie pitches, as we know, have become a bit more seamer friendly early doors, haven't they? In terms of and more swing friendly, swing bowler friendly. So. I think Gus will do well on there. Yeah, I think it's going to be amazing. I think we'll do pretty well. And also the Aussies don't really have a top three at the moment, do they? Obviously, 4 and 5 is nailed on. I think Andrew McDonald was interviewed the other day, and he pretty much said unequivocally that Smith at 4, Head at 5. But then he didn't really say about the top three. I mean, they want Cameron Green in the side, no matter what, whether he's fit to bowl or not. So if he's not fit to bowl, they'll put him at 3, and he's no number 3 really. The number 2 is again, it's Sam. What's his Sam Constas is probably the yeah, he's the man in possession. He had that one amazing innings, didn't he, in against
On
India?
Boxing
But then
Day,
then he just fell away. Yeah, they're all over the shop. Let's put it this way: Kawaja's like he's creaking. I think his eyes have gone. I don't think Smith's eyes are quite as what they were for a player like of the way his style of playing. He's got a lot of moving parts when he bats, and it requires everything to line up perfectly. So when he's on song, he's you can't bowl at him, but it doesn't take much for him to really just, I don't know, for things to kind of like go out of line. So yeah, Aussies might think I'm clutching at straws with this, but I think if you add all these things together, the top 4, I don't hold, I don't. I mean, obviously Smith's a legend, well, an all-time great, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Nice to speak to someone who's confident. I'm now going to test
Yeah.
you with some yes/no questions. I must do it with somebody else now. So it's right. Yes or no? It's the only answer here.
Okay.
Is Mark Wood going to be fit?
Yes.
Number 2, Australia's first score at Perth. Will it be more than 300?
Yes.
It's like mastermind here, but there's no right answers until after about 5 months later. Jacob Bethel, number 3, yes or no?
No.
Will Joe Root get his first 100 in Australia?
Yeah.
Will Zach Crawley score a test match ton during the series?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Are you confident, Zach Crawley? Then yeah.
I am. Yeah. Just go back to the Joe Root one. I think he'll try extra hard just because we want to see Matthew Hayden running naked around the pitch at the end of Sydney. Or maybe actually no, maybe we don't want to see that, so maybe he won't get a century. No, I'm going to stick with yes.
And the final one, will England reach 500 in one of the test innings at team total?
Yes.
I'll have to test some other people with these because you're the first one. You're the guinea pig here. So getting back to Barmy Army,
Yes.
what ground are you most looking forward to playing at? I know you can say all 5, but...
To playing... Well, I mean, if you're kind of talking specifically about playing at, in how is it going to fare? How's it going to be kind to the trumpeter acoustically and all that sort of stuff? I think it's going the MCG will be good because it's covered, and there the trumpet will carry. We will be echoing around the stands, much like it does in the Hollies. Yeah, that'd be good. But I'm looking forward to Adelaide because that's a fantastic pitch. I mean, I was there last December doing some promo work for Australian Tourist Board. It wasn't Tourism Australia. I think it was to do with anyway. I'm not going to say anymore because I might get that wrong. But yes, it was it was a co-venture between the Barmy Army and Australian Tourist Board, and I went to Adelaide Oval, and I went to the MCG, and I went to where else did I go? Brisbane, Gabba. And yeah, I mean, the Adelaide looks fantastic. It's fantastic size. It's not a big ground at all. It's not big at all. It feels kind of like a boutique ground almost, like a very well developed boutique ground. So I'm looking forward to that. And of course, you've got the old scoreboard there, beautiful old scoreboard, Victorian scoreboard. Yes, so I think MCG for acoustics. I'm looking forward to it all, mate. It's going to be amazing. I mean,
so do you know where you're going to be playing at the grounds you've already been to?
A little bit, yeah. I don't know the names of the bays or the bits, but I've been pointed to. I've got pointed in the general direction of like, oh, you'll be sat there with all the Barmy Army. So yeah, I've got an idea.
Any new songs?
Any new songs? Well, who have we got? Some good ones. Well, yeah, I mean, new songs because a lot of the players haven't toured Australia before. So I would say the standout song that will be debuted that will have its Australian debut, I'd say, is "Duck It Man," which is
Yeah,
based
Elton
upon
John.
Rocket Man, Elton John,
Yeah.
and I think he's going to bat a long, long time. Gets down on one knee and he sweeps it fine. He's not the man to lead the ball along. Oh no, 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 he's a Duck It Man. Duck It Man, scoring centuries for England.
It's
That's a
going to
good
be
one.
exciting though when you get Jerusalem played at the Optus Stadium on Friday, November the 21st.
That's going to be incredible. I'm getting the shivers thinking about it. Oops. It's definitely bucket list stuff, that.
Have the Aussies now got any sort of people that play any music at all? I mean, in the summer you had the Barrett Army.
Yeah, as far as I know, there are they have the Richies, which are, I think it's 3 or 4 trumpeters that dress as Richie Benno, with the beige jacket and the sort of strange grey wig. And they play a bit. I don't know if they go to every game. I don't think they're officially kind of affiliated with CA Cricket Australia, but I think they're just fans, and it's a bit of fancy dress and a bit of fun. So I'm looking forward to kind of harping off against them. I'll take on all comers. I'm not worried.
And how many days are you away for? You must have to pack a lot of clothes.
I think it's 54. I think it's 54 nights, and then we'll get back. I'll get back on the 10th January, and then I've got a week at home, and then we're off to Sri Lanka for the ODI T20 series as a warm up for the World Cup out there. So that's another 2 weeks away till I've got until early Feb. So it's going to be, yeah, I'm not going to miss winter out this
Have you
year.
got any family coming with you? Or
No, unfortunately not. That's a bit of yeah, that's a tough one actually. It's a tough one. It's just not possible because of the schedule. Our 6-year-old boy Vian, he'll be at school, so it means we can't travel during term time, so it doesn't break up till the 20th of December. And then that's where it really gets busy for me. We've got like 3 parties in Melbourne, and in Sydney. So it's like, I think got 5 or 6 parties across the 2 cities. Plus there's sort of media commitments, and things like that, and it's just not going to be possible. And it's a long way for them to go, a long and expensive way to go to not actually see each other. So yeah, being away for Christmas is going to be the toughest thing about it. But it's a kind of, I can hear people out there going, "Oh, everyone's getting their world's smallest violin out." But yeah, it's first world problems. But yeah, I'll miss them terribly.
yeah, it's
In
easy
fact,
to forget with all this cricket that it's Christmas and New Year as well.
yeah, it is. Yeah, Christmas away from my family. They were going to be in Uganda actually because Prithi's mother, she's of Punjabi extraction, but she was born and grew up in Uganda. One of her family were kicked out by Idi Amin in the early 70s. Um, and plan was to, for while I'm away in Australia, she was going to take Prithi and her brother and our respective families, grandchildren, to Uganda to see where she grew up, because she's never been back since she left the country in about 1971. So she wanted to go back to see where it was that she grew up and show the kids and show the grandchildren where she grew up and kind of complete the circle, really. And it would have been a lovely thing. And they were going to go out there. So it kind of would have felt a bit less heart-wrenching knowing that they were away from home as well. But actually, it turns out that there's an election in Uganda. That's the election period, and things get pretty tense out there during that period. So they decided not to go. So I think they'll be at home after all. But we haven't actually had a honeymoon yet. So I suppose Australia could have been quite a nice honeymoon, but then again, we're not going to see each other. Sri Lanka again, it would have been a great place to have a little honeymoon, little extended break after the tour finishes. But again, it's term time, so I think we'll have to do something in the when will it be? It's February half term. That'll be our honeymoon.
Right, it's prediction time.
Oh, there we go.
You sound confident, so let's hear it. I'm waiting to hear for an Englishman to actually think England can bring the Ashes back.
Well, I'm gonna do the reverse McGrath. It's going to be 5-0 to England.
Bearing in mind we've not won a test in Australia for, is it 15 years or 14 years? And the last 3 series we've lost 5-0, 4-0 and 4-0.
Well, it's about bloody time then, isn't it? It's about time that we did. And I think we're going to. This can't last forever. We've got the best chance. They haven't got, like I say, they haven't got a top 3. Their bowlers are pretty, as we saw at Lords, was it Lords or was it Oval? The WTC final against South Africa. It was the Oval, wasn't it? Was it the Oval? Well, we weren't in it, so I didn't take it.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was.
Lords.
Sure.
Lords, definitely Lords. Yeah, I went one day. Yeah,
you weren't there, yeah, because I don't take notice of these things because we weren't in it. But we saw that if you could bat long enough to extend Stark and the others to their third spells, then they go for runs. They're not as penetrative as what they are in their first couple of spells. The only kind of like fly in that ointment is that we tend not to bat for that long. We get a lot of runs quickly, but we don't bat that long. But if we can get them to bat that long into their third spells, then I think there's runs to be had. There's leads to be cherished, and there's bowlers to be ground into the dirt.
And we've got Ducket Man as well.
We have got Ducket Man. We've got Crawley Hallelujah. What else have we got? Of course, Joe's got his songs. We've got the classic Woody song. Riding Cars. Oh yeah, he's got a song. Cars by Gary Newman. That's his song. Gus Atkinson's got a song based upon with Rasputin, Boney M. Boney M actually tends to feature quite a lot in Barmy Army songs. So he's got Rasputin, you've got Daddy Cool, which is Harry Brook, and what's the other one? There's 3. There's a third one that's a Boney M song.
I'm sure they must have thought of that when Boney M was writing those records, wasn't
he? But apparently Liz is these things a massive cricket fan. Apparently. Of course, that was by the Rivers of Chris Jordan. That was, I don't know. That was before my time. Rivers of Babylon. That was Chris Jordan's song. Yeah. Anyway,
so it's 5-0. Yes. 5-0 England.
Yeah, come on, bring it on. Why not? I mean, listen, I'd rather be positive and wrong than miserable for the next 3 months and correct at the end and go, see, I told you. I'd rather be happy and positive until that moment.
Because I've been quite a lot of times. Normally, when you get to the third test, it's we're going to win 3-2 when we're 2-0 down.
The Barmy Army, we've got a song for every occasion, you know. For every eventuality, there is a song.
Well, thank you again, Simon, for joining me on the Paddock Pavilion. Have a fantastic time, and I'm going to see you in Perth.
Absolutely, and I would give you a tune just to round it off, but unfortunately, my trumpet's in trumpet hospital at the moment. So
I hope it's going to be well soon.
Oh yeah, it'll be fine. Yeah, it's actually both trumpets. I've got 2 trumpets, of course. I've got the one for the use of the Barmy Army, and I've got my usual trumpet because I daren't take my other trumpet into cricket ground, not after what happened in Mount Maunganui. So anyway, they're both in hospital, getting looked at the moment.
Well, I hope do you call a trumpet he? Hope he or she is well soon.
It's non-binary, my trumpet.
Thank you for your positive 5-0 scoreline.
My pleasure, anytime.
When it comes to what your family eats and drinks, you know your choices matter. You're the expert because you know what fits your life. And getting it right starts with good information. That's why America's beverage companies are sharing more information about our ingredients at goodtoknowfacts.org. No spin, no judgments, just the facts straight from the experts for more than 140 beverage ingredients. Visit goodtoknowfacts.org.
Bustin' with the Boys is here to let you know that every college football Saturday, FanDuel is dropping profit boosts that can turn wins into bigger wins.
Sounds like we should rename Saturday Booster Day.
Nice.
21 plus and present in select states. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
I also love to hear from sports people in other fields who are passionate about cricket. And one of those is leading national hunt trainer Kim Bailey. Here are his thoughts on the men's Ashes. Welcome back to the show, Kim.
Yeah, well, it's good to be here again.
Yeah, last time it was episode 224. This time we're going to talk about the men's Ashes. Now, as a massive cricket fan, where do you think England cricket is after the series against India this summer?
I think it's in a very good place. I think we should have won the series, and we certainly weren't expected to win the series. The last test was slightly disappointing. I think everybody's absolutely knackered by the time they got there, quite frankly. I thought it was an electrifying series. It was wonderful. It was great to watch. It kept everybody in the end of their seats. They had full grounds. That was everything that's good about cricket. Test cricket in this country was there.
So you think we're in good shape for the Ashes?
I think we're in good shape. I feel very sorry for all our players because the cricket season now is long. I know it finished on Saturday, but the end of it, they've been from one series to the next. Whether it's the 100th, the one day, the T20, the Test match. These guys have been flat out. There's a moment when you must get absolutely knackered, and I think that was fairly obvious by the time they got to the last Test.
So looking ahead then to the men's Ashes, who do you think are the key players and what are the key areas?
Well, I mean, the number one thing we've all got to hope that is that Stokes is fit and raring to go. I know he's been batting recently, he's our number one tour leader. I mean, he's a phenomenal captain. He's a great statistician, and his tactics on the ground are very, very good. We just pray that he's in the right place to go and do what we want to go and do. And I know that he'll be doing his utmost to make sure he is. For obvious reasons, he's our best player, and we certainly need him to be at his best. But at the end of it, we've got a very good side. We've got a lot of pace bowlers now. Archer's had a fantastic summer, second half of the summer. It's great to see him back in action. Gus Atkinson has now he's come through towards the end as well. But you've got Harry Brook. Well, I mean, the most talented individual we've seen for ages, He's full of everything, isn't he? I mean, he backs up Joe Root. They're the two best batsmen in the country and the world. So they're there to do their bit for us.
Yeah, Harry Brook, what do you make of him as vice captain now?
Well, I think he's ready to go and do it. He's had one or two attempts already. I know he lost the last one, but he's a very talented individual, and I think he's got his head pretty well level sorted out now. I think he's a guy who will go an awful long way in a very short space of time. I mean, what he's achieved so far is pretty amazing. So, the captaincy is going to rest very, very happily on your shoulders, I think, in years to come.
I know from our previous podcast you like the fast bowlers.
Yeah, no, I mean, a good fast bowler to watch is very exciting. I'm a big fan of Jofra Archer, so I think he's such a talented individual. And I take my hat off to the ECB for sticking with him when he's been out of action for so long. He came back and, I wouldn't want to face him, would you?
Certainly not, no.
Good player.
What about the Australians?
Well, we haven't really got an idea who's going to be their main players yet. I mean, they've got a lot of old players coming back or not coming back, whichever the case. I'm going to leave that to you to probably play around with, because at the end of it, it's very hard to judge who actually they'll pick between now and the time we start in November.
Bit wider subject. What does the Ashes mean to Kim Bailey?
Well, as a true cricket lover, the Ashes is the ultimate. It's the greatest sporting occasion. It's on a par with the Ryder Cup we just watched. It is the rivalry that all rivalry heads to. You go back to the Bodyline series, you name it, it's been there. And cricket is Australia v England, and that's it.
What's your first memory of the Ashes? It's not the Bodyline series. You don't go back that far.
I don't. I can safely say probably not. I remember going to watch them when I was about 9 or 10 at the Oval. And the awful thing is I can't tell you exactly who I remember watching playing, but I had a good friend of mine. We used to creep off during the holidays. We used to catch a train and disappear up and go to the Oval and go to Lord's and sit at the back and watch. Because I mean, 9, 10-year-olds on a train. Of course, now it wouldn't be allowed to happen. But those days you could do things you probably wouldn't do nowadays. But Dennis Lilly, watching him in his latter half was brilliant. I mean, those guys were phenomenal.
I guess it's going to be a key feature of Bailey's blog through the winter.
Well, if it's any help to you, I am meeting Oliver Sherwood for lunch on January the 3rd in Sydney. And guess where I'll be on January the 4th?
At the SCG?
Absolutely, 100%.
So what day does the... I'm going to the first, second and third game. So what day does the fifth test start?
It starts on January 4. So I'm going to be there for that test. And I very much hope that the series is level pegging for that last test. I somewhat doubt it, but it'd be great to be there.
Oh, that would be something special. Now, before I ask you for that prediction, how are things going at Thorndale Farm ahead of the new season?
Well, at the present moment in time, we've had a very hot summer. Might have been good for cricket, but it's been a disaster for racing. We are waiting to run horses. We're waiting for rain. So I've got more weather apps on my phone than you can possibly imagine. I look at the one that gives me the best interest of what rain looks like. At the present moment, it's not looking too good. We had hoped to have quite a few runners at Chepstow in 10 days' time. I think we'll be walking the course at the end of this week to see what it's like. But I see they're already predicting good to firm ground on the chase track, which is not ideal for winter jumpers.
Because it's not even long for the first Cheltenham meeting on the 24th of October.
I know. We've finally gone green here. We've had rain, and it's made a very big difference. But we need an awful lot more rain for to change the ground. Winter horses want winter ground. We've had the summer season, frankly, and that's gone through now. We need to start looking for the proper winter horses to come through. But we are stuck in the lap of the gods, really, the rain gods, anyway. And
for listeners, can you give a horse or horses to follow?
Well, we wouldn't have the largest string by any means, but we got some very nice horses. The Canberra Brewery was a horse we had huge hopes for last year. He won 2 races, and I think he's going to improve once he goes over fences. He's actually aimed at Chepstow next week if we get enough rain. He's had a wind operation from last year. He's a very, very talented horse. I think he's going to be a really fun horse to follow. And we've got a lot of youngsters who haven't raced, so we're at this stage of their career, they're all flying machines, but they haven't got to the stage when they've done a serious piece of work yet. So we get excited now, and then in 3 weeks' time, we start getting perhaps longer face when they haven't worked quite as well as we'd hoped or hadn't gone forward as fast as we hoped they would do. But by the time we get the first week in November, we'll have a serious idea where we are.
Returning to the main event, then, are you going to be excited when you get to Sydney for the first day on the 4th of January?
I can't tell you how excited. I mean, this has been. I have a great friend of mine who I worked with in Sydney many, many years ago, and he tackled me last summer and said, "You've got to do this. You've got to come." He said, "I'm going to give you my flat in Sydney so you can make use of it." One of the beauties of going on a joint license, it means I can actually escape for a little while. So I shall leave Matt in charge here quite happily while I go down and enjoy myself. And Oliver Sherwood has been travelling around the world, or travelling around Australia and New Zealand now for the last 12 months. And we're booked in to have lunch on the day before, and then we're going to see each other for the first 3-4 days of the test.
Oh, wonderful. Is that the friend in Sydney you mentioned in the previous podcast, the restaurant friend who you met when you were teenagers, I think? Yeah.
That's correct. That's correct. And he's now a big racehorse owner. So we met up again last summer, and we'll spend some time with him when we're over there.
So finally, then, your prediction for this 5-test series, which begins on Friday, the 21st of November.
You've got to go and say England are going to win. I think it'll be a very tight. I can see England winning 2-1. That's me, and I'm sure the Aussies will say they have a fight. It'll be a 5-0 whitewash. But you can't be an English supporter without actually supporting England. And if we can get through the series and win 2-1, I'd be very delighted.
Well, thank you very much for that prediction. And hopefully when you get to Sydney, you'll be seeing England win those Ashes.
Can you imagine if they've won 2, they've won each, a couple of draws, and then we go to Sydney. Fantastic. That's the 2-1.
Well, have a great time, and thank you very much for joining us.
You're a star. Thank you very much, as always. And good luck, as they say. I'll see you in Sydney. No, I won't see you in Sydney because you'll be gone by then, won't you?
I'll be gone by then. Hopefully, when I leave, we'll be 3-0 up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's even better, isn't it? Then we'll all be happy.
You've just heard Kim go for an England win in the men's Ashes. And let's hope he has a fabulous time watching the 5th Test in Sydney with friends. Our chat was recorded on the 29th of September, and it's certainly rained since then. By Saturday the 25th of October, the going at Cheltenham was good to soft in places, while on the flat at Doncaster it was heavy. A reminder of how much things can change in just a few weeks. Our final guest in part 2 is David Tossell, author of Blood on the Tracks, the story of England's 1974-75 tour of Australia, when the tourists were dismantled by Lilly and Thompson. Hello, David. How much are you looking forward to the Ashes?
Hugely. I mean, we get to the end of the cricket season, don't we? And especially after summer like we've had, and the winter months seem long and never ending, but it always seems a little bit shorter when you've got an Ashes series and sort of breaking it up. And especially one that's shaping up to be as interesting as this one is.
We're going to get your prediction at the end of this short piece, but who do you think are the key players for England?
Well, I mean, as we're sitting looking at the moment, you've got to be concerned about the fitness of Ben Stokes, because I think we've all seen over the last several years how important he is. But I mean, and I think we all kind of pretty much know what the England team is going to be. And there's obviously been a couple of places in the batting order, notably Crawley and Pope, that have been a bit sort of hit and miss. I can't see anyone taking their place for this series. So given that you probably think, Root and Brooke are probably, you can probably rely on them to get a certain amount of runs. It could be that, the big difference is going to be what they can get from the players that I suppose you could say are less reliable. If we can get a good series out of Crawley and Pope, suddenly it makes that batting lineup look very different. So I think those guys could be the key. I think, we know that Root hopefully will score and eventually get his century down under. Brooke is too good a player, I think, not to. I think the key could be those players whose form hasn't been as consistent, getting some consistency out of them. And then obviously the bowlers' fitness. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's been a long story, hasn't it, with our fast bowlers? Who knows what Archer will do? I mean, so far the signs have been good in the last few months, but on a long tour, and then with Wood as well, you just don't really know what you're going to get, do you, from our bowlers?
And turning to Australia, they reached the World Test Championship final where they lost to South Africa. Are they potentially on the decline?
Well, I mean, certainly the batting has looked shaky, hasn't it? They've obviously got a lot of question marks in the batting. The opening partnership is uncertain. Smith, you feel at some point, well, I think we can see there's been a certain sort of downslope in his form. How long can he keep producing it? Travis Head has obviously been their sort of key man for the last year or two. So I think that the batting, definitely there are some holes and some question marks. The bowling looks, until the recent news about Pat Cummins being injured and sort of taking a break, the bowling looked, absolutely rock solid, didn't it? You look at their bowlers they've got, and then you look at the ones that they've got to come in, like Scott Boland, if there is an injury. Obviously, Cummins makes a slight difference, but you still feel, even if Cummins wasn't fit, that their bowling is not only hugely skilled, but does seem to be a little bit more reliable when it comes to fitness. So I think, the Australian batting is where we would look at it and think that there's a few chinks in the armour there.
Changing the subject a little bit, as the author of Blood on the Tracks, we went to Australia in 1974 as Ashes holders and with hopes of retaining the Ashes. Are there any comparisons at all to that tour, to this one?
I think that I'm not sure that there are, because the big difference now is that everyone knows everything about everyone. The big thing, as we know about the 74-5 tour, is that no one really knew how fit Dennis Lilly was going to be for a start. And then Jeff Thompson, people just really didn't know about him at all. And that just doesn't happen these days when, every single game is kind of on TV, wherever it's played in the world. There's so much information around. We know that Australia aren't going to suddenly bring out a fast bowler from the woodwork that's going to take everybody by surprise. So I think that is the big difference between any tour today and 50 years ago. Any tour back then was always a slight journey into the unknown, wherever you were going, in terms of the conditions you might meet, the players you would come up against. And obviously that just doesn't happen now. So I'm not sure that there are any comparisons in that respect. Certainly, you're right. England went with probably over-optimistic hopes about what they might achieve back in 50 years ago. I think we're probably a bit more realistic now, again, because of the huge amount of information we have. My own view is that, I think you would have to be on the optimistic side to think that England are going to win the series, whereas back in 74-5, there were genuine thoughts that we're at least as good as Australia and we can go down there and defend the Ashes.
They certainly played a lot more matches in 74-75 than they're going to in 25-26.
Yeah, 31 matches on that tour altogether, if you include the minor games and the games in New Zealand at the end, and then the stop off in Hong Kong. I think they were in the country for a month before they played the first Test match. I'm not sure exactly what it is this time, but I think it's a matter of days. It's interesting because people that I spoke to and read about from back in 74-5, people would say, well, you go to Australia, it takes you 2 or 3 weeks just to get used to the light. The light is so different that it takes you a long time just to get used to it. So it's not just a question of feeling back on board. It is a question of getting used to the conditions. And clearly that isn't going to happen these days. But, that's the nature of the international cricket schedule. And
history is certainly not on our side in recent tours.
No, that 10-11 tour when we won seems a long time ago now, doesn't it? And obviously it was a long time before that. I mean, you only have to look over history. We win very few Ashes tours in Australia. So you would have to be, as I said, a real optimist to think that this time is going to be any different.
Do you yourself have a favourite Ashes? It might even be 74-75, but that's being a bit macabre, really, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would be because that was the first one I really remember. The first Ashes tour I remember following closely, and remember how, pent up I'd been about it and how keen I was for England to do well. I have very fond memories of 4 years later as well, when we went down there again. And there was that same kind of excitement, still a bit of a journey into the unknown. The big dynamic change of that one, of course, was that Kerry Packer had come along and taken all of Australia's best players away. So we did actually genuinely feel we were favourites. But I remember, again, watching the highlights, half an hour highlights every night on BBC Two, and us winning 5-1 and, England really sort of, ruling the roost back then. So that was a favourite one. I think, I guess I'm of that generation where, or maybe it goes for any generation, all your favourites tours and series are the ones that went, in your formative years that you really remember. So I can remember pretty much, every day almost of the 1977 Ashes tour over here. I was a massive Jeff Boycott fan. I remember the day he got his 100th against Australia in the fourth test at Headingley. I've been so nervous and pacing around, and I went out and had a round of golf on the local putting green because I was so nervous about whether he was going to get to 100 or not. Kept the radio going the whole time. So I think, your childhood series are the ones that really stick with you. I mean, I could tell you more about that series than I could in, the last 1-2 years ago or whatever. So I think that's just the nature of things.
And I can guess you'll be tuning in, watching and listening to this Ashes.
I will be, yeah. I often joke about this. My wife is deaf. And when she takes her hearing aids out at night, she literally cannot hear a thing. And she sleeps with a blindfold on as well lots of nights. So I guess you could say I'm in the fortunate position where I can go to bed with the TV and the radio on all night. It doesn't affect my wife at all. So I can just, have it on, fall asleep when I fancy it, watch it when I fancy it. And it's one of those things that it's like sleep learning. You kind of fall asleep for 2 or 3 hours and you wake up and somehow you know what the score is already because it's been seeping into your head. So I often joke that's one of my big advantages of having a deaf wife is when it comes to cricket in Australia. It means I can just sort of consume it all without disturbing her.
It's always difficult getting over that first session. You can watch a session, but then 40 minutes lunch is fatal if you try and stay awake.
That's kind of what I do. I kind of go to lunchtime, then I go to bed. But as I say, I can keep the TV and the radio on and sort of dip in and out of sleep during the night, and then catch up on the sort of the highlights the next morning. So there will be very little of it that passes me by.
So finally, then, a prediction from you for the 2025-2026 Ashes.
I think you can't look past Australia. I think we'll probably get a test somewhere. That'll be, the nature of Test cricket these days seems to be that it can be sort of quite unpredictable from one match to the next. I would go 4-1 Australia. We might get a 3-1 if we get some weather somewhere.
Thank you very much, David.
Pleasure.
Thank you for listening for part 2 of Who Will Win the Men's Ashes. Join me in part 3, where I'll be chatting with Dennis Amiss, one of England's great opening batters, along with several more guests as we continue our countdown to the Men's Ashes.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
State Senator Jennifer Carroll Foy here, asking you to vote for my friend, Ghazala Hashmi, for Lieutenant Governor. She's a lifelong educator who's fought to expand job training, and Ghazala wrote the bill protecting Medicaid from Trump and MAGA extremists. Join me in voting for Ghazala Hashmi for Lieutenant Governor and Democrats up and down the ballot. Paid for by Workers Vote, 212-265-7000. Not authorized by any federal candidate or federal candidates committee. Workers Vote is responsible for the content of this advertising.